Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayan Namaskrityam Naram Jayam Maruttamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiriye Nashtapraesha Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttam Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtike. So continuing with the discussion on Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Lila, Chapter 1, entitled The Spiritual Masters, text 65 onwards. So Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami talks about different spiritual master. Now pure devotees are two types: Persons, associates, and parishats, and neophyte devotees. Now he talks about incarnations of God. ईश्वरेर अवतारे तीन प्रकार अंश अवतार आर गुण अवतार शक्त्यावेश अवतार तृतीय माता अंश अवतार पुरुषा मत्स्याधिकयात. There are three categories of incarnations of Godhead: partial incarnations, qualitative incarnations, and empowered incarnations. The Purusha and Matsya are examples of partial incarnations. But there are three categories, but there are so many further categories and so many incarnations. Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva, Tina, Guna, Vatara, Gani, Shaktya, Vesha, Sanakadi, Prithu, Vyasa, Muni. Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva are qualitative incarnations. Of course, Vishnu is expansion also, but he comes under this Guna Avatar also. Empowered incarnations like Shaktya Veshavtar are those like the Kumaras, King Prithu, Mahamuni Vyas, the compiler of the Vedas. So empowered means it generally is it's a jiva, living entity who's empowered with certain potency of Krishna, by Krishna, to do some special work. Dui rupe hai bhagvanera prakash, eita prakash haya arata vilas. The personality of Godhead exhibits himself in two kinds of forms, prakash and vilas. Up to this, all is described in detail in teachings of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to Sanatana Goswami. The Supreme Lord expands his personal forms in two primary categories. The Prakash forms are manifested by Lord Krishna for his pastimes, and their features are exactly like his. Prakash, so he expands himself, but same features. Like when Lord Krishna married 16,000 queens in Dwarka, he did so in 16,000 Prakash expansions. Similarly, during the Rasa dance, he expanded himself in identical Prakash forms to dance beside each and every gopi simultaneously. When the Lord manifests his Vilas expansions, however, they're all somewhat different in their bodily features. So Vilas features are somewhat different. Lord Balram is the first Vilas expansion of Lord Krishna, and the four-handed Narayan forms in Vaikuntha expand from Balaram. There is no difference between the bodily forms of Shri Krishna and Balaram, except that their bodily colors are different. So bodily forms of Krishna and Balaram are same. So that's the Prabhupada also. They are exactly the same, except the bodily colors are different. That's all. But still, Balramji comes under Vilas expansion. Similarly, Shri Narayan in Vaikuntha has four hands, whereas Krishna has only two. The expansions of the Lord who manifest such bodily differences are known as Vilas Vigrahas. It's just technical knowledge about Krishna's incarnations. Eka ei vigra yadi hai bahurupa, akareta bheda nahi eka ei swarupa. Mahishi vivahe yache kailaras, iha ke kahiye Krishnera mukhya prakash. When the personality of Godhead expands himself in many forms, all not different in their features, as Lord did when he married 16,000 queens and when he performed his rasa dance. Such forms of the Lord are called manifested forms of Prakash Vigrahas. Chitram Baitatat Ekena Vapusha Yogapat Prithak Griheshu Dvyashta Sahasram Istriya Ek Udavahat. It is astounded that Lord Shri Krishna, who is one without a second, expanded himself in 16,000 similar forms to marry 16,000 queens in their respective forms. This verse is from Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto. Ratsotsva sampravrito gopi mandala mandita yogeshvarena krishnena tasam madhye dvayor dvaya. When Lord Shri Krishna, surrounded by a group of cowherd girls, began the festivities of the Rasa dance, the Lord of all mystic powers placed himself between each two girls. So that was his Prakash expansion. Pravishtena grihitanam kanthesur nikatam striya yam maneran abhastavad vimanashat shankulam divokasamsa dharan atti atsukya vritatmanam tato dundubhyo nedur nibetu pushpa vrishtaya. When the cowherd girls and Krishna thus joined together, each girl thought that Krishna was dearly embracing her alone. To behold this wonderful pastime of the Lords, the denizens of the heaven and the wives, all very eager to see the dance, flew in the sky in their hundreds of airplanes. They showered flowers and beat sweetly on drums. So this is again from Srimad Bhagavatam. This is about the Ras Lila of Krishna. Even the demigods were eager to see the dance, because it's so rare for anybody and everybody to see it. Anekatara prakatata rupasya kyasya yekada sarvata tatta sarupeva saprakasha itiriyate. If numerous forms, all equal in their features, are displayed simultaneously, such forms are called Prakash Vigrahas of the Lord. So this is from Laghu Bhagavatamrita, compiled by Srila Rupa Goswami. Ekai vigraha kintu akare hayana aneka prakasha haya vilastarana. But when the numerous forms are slightly different from one another, they're called vilas vigrahas. Swarupamanyakaram yat tasya bhati vilasata prayanatma samam shaktya savilaso nigatyate. When the Lord displays numerous forms with different features by his inconceivable potency, such forms are called Vilas Vigrahas. This is another quotation from Laghu Bhagavatam. Yaiche Baladev Paravyome Narayan, Yaiche Vasudev Pradyumnadi Sankarshan. Examples of such Vilas Vigrahas are Baladev, Narayan, and Vaikuntha, and the Chaturvyuha, Vasudev, Sankarshan, Pradyumna, and Aniruddha. Ishwarere Shakti Hai Tantrakar, Ek Lakshmi Gana Pure Mahishi Gana, Vraja Gopi Gana Ar Sabhate Pradhan, Prajendra Nandana Jate Swayam Bhagwan. The energies, consorts of the Supreme Lord, are of three kinds: the Lakshmis in Vaikuntha, the queens in Dwarka, and the gopis in Vrindavan. The gopis are the best of all, for they have the privilege of serving Shri Krishna, the primeval Lord, the son of the king of Braj. So they are the best because they are serving Brajendra Nandan himself, who is Bhagwan. Swayam Rupa Krishnera Kaya Vyuhutarasam Bhakta Sahite Haye Tamara Avram. The personal associates of the primeval Lord, Lord Shri Krishna, are his devotees who are identical with him. He is complete with this entourage of devotees. So Shri Krishna and his various personal expansions, the Prakasha Vilas, are non-different in their potential power. These expansions are associated with further secondary expansions or servitor expansions, who are called devotees. Bhakta Adi Krame Kaila Sabhara Vandan, Ei Sabhara Vandan Sarva Shubhera Karan. Now I have worshipped all the various levels of devotees. Worshipping them is a source of all good fortune. That's what Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami was coming to all these different Prakash and Vilas forms, because then he was coming to the devotees. The devotees are always associating with the Lord, and they are serving the Lord. And he's saying worshipping the devotees is a source of all good fortune. To offer prayers to the Lord, one should first offer prayers to his devotees and associates. Pratham shloke kahi samanya manglacharan, dvitiya shlokete kari vishesha vandan. In the first verse, I have invoked a general benediction, but in the second, I have prayed to the Lord in a particular form. Vande Shri Krishna Chaitanya Nityananda Sahodito, Godo De Pushpavanto Chitro Sando Tamo Nudo. I offer my respectful obeisances unto Shri Krishna Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda, who are like the sun and moon. They were risen simultaneously on the horizon of Goda to dissipate the darkness of ignorance and thus wonderfully bestow benediction upon all. And this is the most merciful incarnation, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu. Vrajaye Vihare Purve Krishna Balaram, Koti Surya Chandra Dini Duhar Nejipam, Seidui Jagatir Haya Sadaya, Goda Desha Purve Saile Karila Udaya. Shri Krishna and Balram, the personalities of Godhead who formerly appeared in Vrindavan and were millions of times more effulgent than the sun and the moon, have arisen over the eastern horizon of Godadesh, West Bengal, being compassionate for the fallen state of the world. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Hara Prabhu Nityananda, Jahara Prakashe Sarva Jagata Ananda. The appearance of Shri Krishna Chaitanya and Prabhu Nityananda has assured the world with happiness. Surya Chandra Hare Yache Sava Andhakar Vastu Prakashiya Kare Dharamera Prachar Ei Mata Doi Bhai Jivera Agyan Tamo Nash Kari Kaila Tattva Vastu Dhan. As the sun and moon drive away darkness by their appearance and reveal the nature of everything, these two brothers dissipate the darkness of ignorance covering the living beings and enlighten them with knowledge of the absolute truth. So these two brothers dissipate the darkness of ignorance covering the living beings. And their method is Sankirtan, only by Sankirtan. Ajnanata mere naam kahiye keta, dharma artha kama moksha vancha adisa. The darkness of ignorance is called keta, the way of cheating, which begins with religiosity, economic development, sense gratification, and liberation. And there, see, Chaitanya Charitamrita, Mahaprabhu and his devotees, this is way of cheating. Dharma artha kama moksha. Vedas talk only about dharma, artha, kama, that this is it. Or Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, first chapter of Chaitanya Charitamrita, he said this is cheating. There must be something higher than this. Dharma projita kyatavatra parama nirmat saranam sita. Vedyam vastavamatra vastu shivadam tap taraya unmulana. Shrimad Bhagavate Mahamani Krite Kimma Parir Ishvara Sabdu Hrudi Avarudhyate Atra Kritivi Shushru Bhish Tatshanat. So this is the second verse of Bhagavatam from the beginning. It says, the great scripture Srimad Bhagavatam compiled by Mahamuni Vyasadeva from 4 original verses. So we discussed the Chatushloki Bhagavatam, describes the most elevated and kind-hearted devotees and completely rejects the cheating ways of materially motivated religiosity. So completely reject dharma, artha, kama, moksha, because that's materially motivated. It propounds a highest principle of eternal religion, which can factually mitigate the threefold miseries of a living being and award the highest benediction of full prosperity and knowledge. Those willing to hear the message of the scripture in a submissive attitude of service can at once capture the Supreme Lord in their hearts. Therefore, there is no need for any scripture other than Srimad Bhagavatam. This verse appears in Srimad Bhagavatam, the second verse of Bhagavatam. The words Mahamuni Krita indicate that Srimad Bhagavatam was compiled by the great sage Vyasadeva, who is sometimes known as Narayana Mahamuni because he is an incarnation of Narayana. Vyasadeva, therefore, is not an ordinary man, but is empowered by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So he was Shakti Aveshakta. He compiled the beautiful Bhagavatam to narrate some of the pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and his devotees. So Prabhupada said to narrate some of the pastimes, of course. He has unlimited pastimes. So Bhagavatam cannot cover all of his unlimited pastimes. In Srimad Bhagavatam, a distinction between real religion and pretentious religion has been clearly made. According to this original and genuine commentation on the Vedanta Sutra, there are numerous pretentious faiths that pass as religion but neglect the real essence of religion. The real religion of a living being is its natural, inborn quality, whereas pretentious religion is a form of nescience that artificially covers a living entity's pure consciousness under certain unfavorable conditions. The real religion lies dormant when artificial religion dominates from the mental plane. A living being can awaken this dormant religion by hearing with the pure heart. So there is, Bhagavatam talks about real religion. That's what it says, dharma projita katavatra. Dharma, it also talks about dharma. Projit katava, and cheating religion is completely kicked out of Shiva. And what to speak of Chaitanya Chaitanya. So cheating religion, or here Prabhupada calls it pretentious religion, is a form of nescience or ignorance that artificially covers living entities' pure consciousness under certain unfavorable conditions. So this is pretentious religion, that what we think we are. We are Hindus, or we are Muslims, we are Christians. It's related to the body, not to the soul. And real religion is his natural inborn quality of the soul. And that becomes dormant because this pretentious religion or cheating religion takes over. The path of religion prescribed by Srimad Bhagavatam is different from all forms of imperfect religiosity. Religion can be considered in the following three divisions: karma, jnana, and bhakti, or upasana. The path of fruitive work, karma; the path of knowledge and mystic powers, jnana and yoga; and the path of worship and devotional service. So path of fruitive work, karma kanda, even when decorated by religious ceremonies meant to elevate one's material condition, is a cheating process because it can never enable one to gain relief from material existence and achieve the highest goal. And 9 Bhagavatam or Vedanta or Vedas talk about mostly karma kanda because they know in general people go after this. They're not about how to get out of this material world. They're only to live here, and we think we can live here comfortably if I have money, if I have opulence, if I have power, position. But this is, again, it's cheating religion. It's a cheating process because this is not the ultimate thing. A living entity perpetually struggles hard to rid himself of the pangs of material existence. But the path of fruitive work leads him to either temporary happiness or temporary distress in material existence. By pious fruitive work, one is placed in a position where he can temporarily feel material happiness, whereas vicious activities lead him to a distressed position of material want and scarcity. However, even if one is put into the most perfect situation of material happiness, he cannot in that way become free from the pangs of birth, death, old age, and disease. Even if he's in the perfect situation of material happiness, which nobody is, but he still has to go through birth, old age, disease, and death. A materially happy person is therefore in need of the eternal relief that mundane religiosity, in terms of fruitive work, can never evoke. And then comes Gyan Marg and Yoga Marg. The paths of the culture of knowledge, Jnana Marg, and of mystic powers, Yoga Marg, are equally hazardous, for one does not know where one will go by following these uncertain methods. An empiric philosopher in search of spiritual knowledge may endeavor most laboriously for many, many births and mental speculation. But unless and until he reaches the stage of the purest quality of goodness, or in other words, until he transcends the plane of material speculation, it is not possible for him to know that everything emanates from the personality of Godhead Vasudeva. Bahunam Janmanamate Jnanmanam Prapadyate. His attachment to the impersonal feature of the Supreme Lord makes him unfit to rise to that transcendental stage of Vasudeva understanding. And therefore, because of his unclean state of mind, he glides down again into material existence, even after having ascended to the highest stage of liberation. This fall down takes place due to his want of a locus standi in the service of the Supreme Lord. Because then he doesn't understand the position of the Supreme Lord, the position of spirit soul in comparison or in relationship with the Supreme Lord. So he falls down. And then comes the yogis. As far as the mystic powers of the yogis are concerned, they are also material entanglements on the path of spiritual realization. One German scholar who became a devotee of Godhead in India said that material science had already made laudable progress in duplicating the mystic powers of the yogis. He therefore came to India not to learn the methods of the yogis' mystic powers, but to learn the path of transcendental loving service to the Supreme Lord, as mentioned in the great scripture Srimad Bhagavatam. Mystic powers can make a yogi materially powerful and thus give temporary relief from the miseries of birth, death, old age, and disease, as well as other material sciences can also do. But such mystic powers can never be a permanent source of relief from these miseries. They can only give temporary relief. Therefore, according to the Bhagavad school, this path of religiosity is a method of cheating its followers. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is clearly defined that the most elevated and powerful mystic yogi is one who can constantly think of the Supreme Lord within his heart and engage in the loving service of the Lord. So that's the topmost. Then comes the path of worship. The path of worship of the innumerable devas or administrative demigods is still more hazardous and uncertain than the above mentioned processes of karma kand and jnana kand. This system of worshipping many gods, such as Durga, Shiva, Ganesha, Surya, and the impersonal Vishnu form, is accepted by persons who have been blinded by an intense desire for sense gratification. When properly executed in terms of the rites mentioned in the Shastra, which are now very difficult to perform in this age of want and scarcity, such worship can certainly fulfill one's desires for sense gratification. But the success obtained by such methods is certainly transient, temporary, and it is suitable only for a less intelligent person. That is the verdict of the Bhagavad Gita. No sane man should be satisfied by such temporary benefits. So then what to do? So any process of religiosity based on sense gratification, gross or subtle, must be considered a pretentious religion because it is unable to give perpetual protection to its followers. I'm just skipping the many paragraphs. So Prabhupada comes in the end, he said, the real form of religion is spontaneous loving service to Godhead. This relationship of the living being with the absolute personality of Godhead in service is eternal. It's not temporary, and it doesn't give temporary benefits either. The personality of Godhead is described as Vastu, or the substance, and the living entities are described as Vastavas, so the innumerable samples of the substance in relative existence. So the relationship of these substantive portions with the Supreme Substance can never be annihilated, for it is an eternal quality inherent in the living being. So by contact with material nature, the living entities exhibit varied symptoms of disease of material consciousness. To cure this material disease is the supreme object of human life. The process that treats the disease is called Bhagavad Dharma or Sanatan Dharma, real religion. So these days, this Sanatan Dharma, everybody talks about it. But what is Sanatan Dharma? So Sanatan means eternal. Eternal means no beginning, no end. So just because we have this body that belongs to Hindu parents and we follow some rituals of Hinduism, that doesn't mean this is Sanatan Dharma. Of course, Hindu, it comes close, very close, because it comes from the Vedic scriptures. But what is Sanatan Dharma? Sanatan Dharma is my relationship. My means the soul's relationship with the Lord. That's, and how many of people who say we are Sanatanis, are working on that relationship? As Prabhupada mentioned, or Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami mentioned, they're demigod worshippers. But that's even more hazardous. Because what do we worship demigods? Not for bhakti, for some material power, position, opulence. That makes us stay in the material world longer than to take up the real Sanatan Dharma and make progress spiritually. This is, people just, they don't have knowledge, they don't want to talk about it, they don't understand this. Therefore, anyone who, because of his background of pious activities in previous lives, is anxious to hear Srimad Bhagavatam, immediately realizes the presence of the Supreme Lord within his heart and fulfills the mission of his life. So that is real Sanatana Dharma. So by mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu, people can make advancement very rapidly on the Sanatana path of Sanatana Dharma if they just chant, engage in Sankirtan Yajna. Okay, I guess I can stop here. See anybody has any questions or comments?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, how you differentiate that which shloka you have to sing in a different tune and...
See again?
I said, how you differentiate that which shloka you have to sing in a different tune and which shloka you have to just read it? How do you differentiate?
The Sanskrit has different tune, and the Bengali shlokas, they have different tune.
Acha, okay, that way.
Of course, my Bengali is not that good, but
the
real Bengali devotees, they sing very nice.
Acha, Bengali language is in different tune and Sanskrit in different tune. Okay.
Sanskrit is different.
Okay.
माता जी वो आ जाता है ना, जैसे प्रभु जी गाते हैं कौरी बे
हाँ
लास्ट में,
हाँ
तो
हाँ हाँ।
कौरी बे प्रभु जी, मैं तो मतलब आई कैन स्पीक फ्लुएंटली बंगाली, तो
अच्छा।
बड़ा अच्छा लगता है जब आप बोलते हो ना कौरी बे वाला लास्ट लाइन, तो मुझे बड़ा पसंद
Right.
आता है, मतलब एकदम
किसी
से दिखने वाली
बंगाली
आ
को
गई।
पकड़ना पड़ेगा, वो अच्छे से बता सकते।
हाँ, तो
हाँ
मैं हूँ ना प्रभु जी, आप
तो
पूछिए
हाँ तो
मुझसे।
है ना, विनय
Oh,
प्रभु
you're
जी ने
from
भी
Bengal? I didn't know that.
হ্যাঁ, খুব ভালো করে বাংলা কথা বলতে পারি আমি।
अरे बाबा रे।
What else?
আমি জানি না।
अब आप देखो कि फ्रॉम द बर्थ टिल 25 इयर्स और ऑलमोस्ट माय ग्रेजुएशन, वहीं से सब कुछ मेरा हुआ है।
ओह।
और सारे दोस्त वगैरह फ्रेंडशिप सब वहीं पे। और प्रभु जी एक चीज मैं और क्लियर करना चाहता हूँ, व्हेन आई वाज 6 7 8 में होऊंगा मैं क्लास में, तो वी यूज्ड टू गो टू प्ले फुटबॉल इन, अगर विक्टोरिया मेमोरियल के पास में एक परेड ग्राउंड है बहुत बड़ा, तो वहां पे इस्कॉन का एक वो आता था, काइंड ऑफ जो टेम्पोज में जिसमें हलवा वगैरह रखते हैं, और बुक डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन होता था। तो फर्स्ट टाइम वी नो, अब मैं डिस्क्लोज कर रहा हूँ ये चीज, बट क्योंकि हम बच्चे थे तो हम क्यू में लगते थे प्रभु जी, उस सिर्फ उस डिलीशियस हलवा खाने के लिए, एंड बार बार लगते थे, 2 बार 3 बार, वी गो बैक। और संडे को सिर्फ आता था प्रभु जी वो, तो वी यूज्ड टू हैव दैट, एंड काफी आपस में बोलते थे यार ये हलवा कैसे बनता है, ये तो घर में ऐसा हलवा बनता ही नहीं है, तो काफी एंजॉय किए।
वो
That's
हलवे का ही
good.
परिणाम है जो आज क्लास में है आप। है ना।
बिल्कुल, पर एक चीज तो है प्रभु जी,
प्रसाद तो
कुछ किया होगा प्रभु जी।
हाँ।
प्रसाद तो
क्या?
प्रसाद है।
हम्म।
प्रसाद तो बिल्कुल भी नहीं, इस्कॉन जैसा प्रसाद, प्रसाद तो प्रसाद है खैर, बट बहुत ही डिलीशियस है। खिचड़ी भी और ये भी हलवा भी, नेवर फॉरगेट।
ओके।
चलो, okay, we can stop here.
ठीक है। थैंक यू
Y'all have
प्रभु
a
जी।
safe and
या
wonderful day.
थैंक
Hare
यू प्रभु जी।
Krishna. Jai Shri
हरे
हरे
कृष्णा,
कृष्ण।
जय श्रीला
जय श्री
प्रभुपाद।
राम।